Hello everyone and welcome back to a recent reads video. So I've been doing these on my channel for quite a while. I used to call them mashup reviews where I took a lot of genres, but I've since decided just to call it recent reads because they are just that. They are recent reads. But I still try to keep them all within the same genre because I just think that's easier, maybe more appealing. I don't know. I feel like I haven't done one of these videos in a long time. So today's recent reads are going to be all thrillers. Who's surprised? It's the middle of October. Of course they would be thrillers. So I have 5 books I want to talk about today, which is a lot, and I apologize in advance if this video is going to be long, which more than likely will be. I'll try to be brief, but that never seems to go my way. So, like all with my recent reads videos, I will leave all the timestamps down below for each particular book in case you want to hear about one book over the other. They will all be spoiler free. I'm just going to tell you what the book is about, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and my rating. So without a super long intro, because I know this video is going to be long, let's get into the books I'm talking about today. The books I will be talking about today are The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, The One by John Mars, Keel Creek by Scott Thomas, Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Morana Garcia, and The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. So first up, we have The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. I was very excited to read this because I read her recent release, The Guest List, this year, and I loved that thriller book. I gave it a 5 out of 5, just thought it was really good. So I was really excited to read one of her earlier ones called The Hunting Party, but I'm sad to say I didn't enjoy it really at all. I gave it originally a 3 out of 5, but more than I think about it, I'd probably give it a 2 out of 5 because I didn't like it. There wasn't anything really appealing about it. I don't remember a ton about it. I just didn't love it. So if I really wanted to give you the briefest synopsis of this book, I would just say it's about a whole big group of college friends that go like to this kind of Scottish Highlands mansion area, like cabins for the New Year's weekend, and somebody dies. And that's all you need to know. And so we have this group of college friends and we follow, I want to say 2 to 3 of their perspectives, as well as like the groundskeeper's perspective and a girl named Heather that's kind of like the overseer of the whole property's perspective. And you just learn more about their group's dynamic, and they're all just honestly horrible people. It reminded me a lot of a Ruth Ware book in the fact that it was all about horrible people, because I've never read a Ruth Ware book where I was really rooting for the main character, because I don't know, it's just how it was. And that's exactly how I felt for The Hunting Party. Every character had some conniving secret, or they were just horrible. And by the end of it, you were just like, I don't care. And I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way. I didn't, when the ending came, I wasn't shocked. It was just, because the characters were just so vastly unlikable, which could be a trend in thrillers. I don't know if that's meant to be, like, I want you to hate all these characters so you won't root for them, but I feel like I have to have some sort of common denominator with them to like really be invested in the book. I'm not sure, but yeah, this was a big letdown for me, honestly, which a lot of you guys told me that The Hunting Party was nowhere near as good as The Guest List, but that's okay. I will still continue to read her books because I do enjoy them, and I do enjoy the way she writes. If you enjoyed it, great. I just sadly didn't. Now moving on to a book that I loved, The One by John Mars. So I read this book because everyone has said that The One is their favorite book by John Mars, and I read it and I was like, okay, I'll read it. And then I got it and I was like, this book is like over 400 pages long, which is a very long book for a thriller, but I flew through this in 2-3 days, like a lot of you guys said, and I ended up giving it a 5 out of 5. I loved it. It is a thriller, but it's not like super scary in my opinion. It has a thrilling aspect to it, but it really goes into like the psyche of different characters and the decisions they make, and would you let something make a decision for you? And is fate really a thing? And soulmates, are they really a thing? So it's got a lot more going on. There is a really good thrilling aspect to it that I quite enjoyed, but I'd say if you're like really new into thrillers and you're like, I want something that's gonna like not overly scare me, not be overly thrilling, I would recommend checking out this book. I would dare to say that it was kind of almost like a soap opera. I know, I don't watch soap operas, but just bear with me here. So this whole book, we have this app that has figured out like our DNA, and they figured out our soulmates from our DNA. So you can send in a blood sample and you can find out who your soulmate is. And so we follow like a wide array of characters, like 6 or 7 of them. And they've all been matched, and you know, you figure out different journeys with their match partners. And I don't want to spoil it for you because there's so many different storylines going on in this book that it's just insane and I can't get into it. But there were some storylines I liked more than others, but it was just very intriguing. And then by the end, I think we all knew what one plot twist was going to be, but then he slaps us with another plot twist. No, I want to say he like maybe 3 or 4 plot twists. 2 of them I was like, yeah, I could maybe see that coming. But there was one I was like, that was a really, really good plot twist, which really made me go over to a 5 because I just really enjoyed it. And like I said, yes, this is a thriller. It's not necessarily like 100% thriller. I mean, what makes a thriller? But it's really diving into, are soulmates a real thing? Would you let an app choose your destiny? Because this app has like made a lot of matches and helped people find their soulmates, but it's also destroyed a lot of marriages and a lot of families because of this. And it was just very intriguing to read about it. So it's got like that soap opera feel because like, will this couple be together? Will they go with their match? Will this girl decide to be with her match? Or, you know, things like that. But I really enjoyed it and would definitely recommend it. 5 out of 5. I was invested in it from start to finish, loved every second of it. And yeah, I need to read more John Marrs books, so please let me know what should I read after this one. I'm thinking about The Passengers, but I would love to hear your thoughts on them. And I would love to know if you like this book as much as I did. Next up is a horror book. Actually, 2 of these back to back that I'm going to talk about right now are horror books. And the first one being Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. I just finished this recently as a filming, and this is 100% the scariest book I've ever read, like hands down. So this book is very interesting in the fact that it's about these horror authors that are invited for this interview. They kind of get conned into it, which the synopsis really doesn't tell you, but I'll tell you, I don't think it's spoiling anything. They get conned into this interview and somehow they get conned. Like, so they sign up for this interview, but they get conned into spending the night at Kill Creek, like it's one of the world's most infamous haunted houses. And so they do just that. It's like all for a publicity stunt, and it kind of goes on from there. This book, like, it was scary. I don't read horror because I'm like the biggest scaredy cat. I read this and I was okay with it, but I will say I read a lot of it in the daytime because no nightmares, please. But this book really dives into your fears and how each individual person has a different fear and the things that they hear from their fears. And it's more than just the house. I really enjoyed it. You get perspectives from all of the authors. And I would say our main perspective is the author, Sam. He is going through a lot. He has a very tumultuous past that he never tells you because I don't know, but you want to know. And he gets to this house and it kind of gets more and more. So basically it says, okay, what becomes a simple publicity stunt will soon become a fight for survival. The entity that they have awakened will follow them, torment, threatening them to make them a part of the bloody legacy of Kill Creek. So I don't want to tell you anything more because it would be spoiling and it wouldn't just be fair to you, but I would recommend this. Now, if you're a scaredy cat like me, I think you could handle this. It's hard to say. I would just maybe try reading it, and if you don't think you can handle it, that's fine. The middle is slow, but the end is where it gets scariest. Like the last 100 pages were like, whoa. And the very ending, again, amazing plot twist that I loved, and I think a lot of us saw, but it was still done so well, and he left it done, and he left it so open-ended that I usually hate open endings, but I love the way he ended this. He could write another book, I'll say that, but if he doesn't, I'm okay with it. I like the way he ended it. But if he visits again, I'll read it. So either way, I'm okay with it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. And I'm actually very proud of myself that I read a horror book because, like I said, world's biggest scaredy cat right here. Next up, moving into another horror novel, is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Morano Garcia. So this book takes place in the 50s in Mexico, and we follow our main character. Please forgive me if I pronounce her name wrong. Naomi, hopefully I pronounced that right. And her cousin recently has gotten married and kind of moved away to this really small town, and she's been getting letters from her cousin, like saying like her husband is very weird, and they're just very odd letters. So her father's like, okay, go to your cousin's, new house and see her family and, feel things out for us. And so she does just that. She goes to the house and meets her new husband and his family because that's who she's living with. And she notices that this house is not really normal. It's very odd. Her cousin's husband's family is very odd. The house is just weird. They have very particular rules that you can't talk during dinner. and you can't smoke in the house, which, I mean, that's okay. But in the 50s, you know, smoking was very much prevalent. Like, it happened a lot. And you couldn't leave, like, the house at all without asking to. Like, it was just ridiculous rules. And the more that Naomi uncovers about this house and about this family and even this town, she learns that her cousin is in a lot of danger, she thinks, and she's going to try to help save her from this. And basically, I would compare this, forgive me if I'm totally wrong here, because I can read more scary things than I can watch them. So I would compare this maybe to, like, kind of Crimson Peak, The Woman in Black, I think. Like, kind of like an old Gothic-y house where it's creepy. It's the house that's got a story of itself, and you just don't know what exactly is lurking behind the corner, or what's going on, what's real and what's not real. So I would compare it to that in that manner, which is why I really enjoyed it. I loved learning about this family's past, about what is this house, what is going on with this house exactly. So I liked it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. The ending, it was, I'm not gonna lie to you, it gets a little bizarre, but I was going with that bizarre, and I thought it all made sense while reading it. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one, but I enjoyed it. I thought Naomi was a great character who stood up for herself, for her family, and she, like, several times, like, they were trying to get her to leave this house. They're like, just go, but she's like, no. My cousin's here. This is my family. Like, I just don't abandon family. And I was like, I love you. So I really enjoyed it. It's a wild and crazy ride. Like, by the end, you're going to be like, what? But I really enjoyed it. Definitely very Gothic-y, spooky house. And yeah, I would never go to this house. And the last book I want to talk about is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. So this is my final Ruth Ware book that I have read. I have read now all of her books, like 6 or 7 of them, I think. I wasn't going to read this book. It didn't sound appealing to me when it came out last year. But a lot of you guys said it was your favorite Ruth Ware book. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I liked it. I didn't love it. It didn't wow me, but I'm not surprised by any means. I've just learned that me and Ruth Ware don't really jive well together. I just recently read her newest release, One by One, and really didn't like it. One of my least favorite books of all time is In a Dark, Dark Wood by her. So I don't know. This one was good. I wouldn't put it as, like, I think some of my least favorites by her are In a Dark, Dark Wood and One by One. So I wouldn't put it down there. I'd probably put it in the middle. I think my favorite of hers might be The Woman in Cabin 10. I don't know, I just like the mystery element of that the most. And I did like the Death of Mrs. Westaway kind of a little bit. But I gave this one a 3 out of 5. It was okay. It's about this girl that gets a job nannying and, like, watching these 2 young daughters at this house that's like a smart house. Like, they have everything, like security and all that kind of stuff, like on their phones and screens and all that. And she learns that the house is kind of odd. The parents are, like, very odd, and she's trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And there were some plot twists that I thought were really good. The plot twists were good, but again, Ruth Ware just has this way of writing characters that I don't like. I don't know what it is, if it's a thing she actually does or it's just me. Who knows? But I never read a book by her where I was, like, really, like, caring and investing in the character a ton. I just was, like, very just kind of middle of the road about them. Like, it was okay. I think the house, here's the thing. I think she was trying to write, like, a kind of creepy house that had a lot of secrets, but I think this book did it a lot better. That's my opinion. This one kind of took the approach of, like, a smart house, if you will. And I believe this is also a retelling of Turn of the Screw, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. It was okay. That's all I'm going to say about it. Will I continue to read Ruth Ware's books? I don't know. Right now, I'm going to say 50-50. It depends on what the plot's going to be. If it sounds intriguing, I'll try it, but honestly, my expectations are going to be low because I just haven't read a book by her that I love. And that's okay. I know a lot of you guys love Ruth Ware, and I'm happy that you do. There are just some authors that some people don't jive well with, and that's just how it is. And apparently Ruth Ware is one of mine. I didn't want it to be. I don't want it to be, but it is. So a 3 out of 5, not a bad rating, but I just didn't love it, sadly. Yeah, those are my thoughts on these 5 books right here. I would love to know if you've read any of them. Obviously, my favorite in this whole video was The One, but my 2 follow-ups that I really enjoyed were surprisingly the horror books. Who Am I? Mexican Gothic and Kill Creek. Love them both, so would highly recommend them. And these 2, I don't know. Viewer discretion on it. So again, if you've read them, I would love to hear your thoughts. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.